everybody? It is your boy T Shroom here again. Got a little bit of a different background because today is going to be a T Shroom takeover. That's right, you heard it right. It's a T Shroom takeover. Some things that are going on down in Miami at the Bitcoin 2023 event, to where Tim had to be all hands on deck with the Hit Network team down there. And we're really appreciative that you guys are going to hang tight with us as I, T Shroom, bring you the news. I got a special little price update for you at the end of the show. Not something we usually get into. It's a commodity that is actually very important for this week, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about it at the end of the show. So stick around, and we're going to have some fun. But we can't get too much further into the show without talking about the names here. So I have conflicting sources here. I have two different chats pulled up on different softwares, but I believe a Mellow Fellow was in the top two. So I'll just leave it there. And then Mancheesy may have been number one. Mancheesy, great job. I think you were number one, the first commenter there in the chat. So congrats out there to Mancheesy. And let's go ahead and, Crypto and Cowboy said no sound, which I think you're trolling because nobody else is saying that. That is a very mean thing to do to a streamer. But I also see Bob. I see Mike Play. I'm going to start from the bottom. Yeah, that's right. It's a T-Shroom takeover, so we're doing it crazy. Do you need me to jump in for TA, says Army Piper. That would be nice. However, I don't know if at this point I'm going to be technically able to do that. But I'll think about it. So let's just keep going here with the names. Max PP, Eric Wallen, John Foster Crypto, Jojo, ADA Ace, John Foster Crypto, Army Piper in the chat, Elliot Locke, Indie Rock Crypto, Yer Navarro, Elliot Locke, Jeff Sullivan, and Gia S. Again, I started from the bottom today, and now we're here. So we're doing it huge, baby. Well, I am alone. But I will go ahead and do the quote of the day, because how could we get into a Investing Bros stream without the quote of the day? Guys, let's go ahead and get into it right over here. This quote of the day comes from Will Ferrell. It says, "Before you marry a person, you should first make them use a computer with slow internet to see who they really are." That is Will Ferrell, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for him. He's a great guy and has been in a lot of everybody's favorite movies. So you definitely can't get mad at Will Ferrell. Wow, that applause goes on for some time. Got to get a new sound effect. Oh, is it just going to keep going? Oh, goodness gracious. Got to get a new sound effect in there for sure, Piper. But let's go ahead and get into some macro news here. I'm sure there's a bunch of other things that we can circle back on, but macro news is important, so let's go ahead and get into that. The one that was really jumping out to me this morning was the mortgage rates. So the 30-year mortgage rate is now higher. So this is the actual previous. And so that mortgage rate has come up. That's pretty predictable considering there was another rate hike. So it hasn't come up a ton, but it has come up. So that 30-year mortgage rate is coming up and making home buyers less interested in purchasing new homes. MBA mortgage applications, of course, were down a lot. In last quarter, I believe this is a measurement of quarters. It was it may actually be a monthly. Yeah, this is a monthly data print. It was actually up last month and it was down this month. So pretty intense movement there from the housing market. Likely that will continue to slow and hopefully trickle into the CPI reports, because or PCE reports, where shelter is reported disproportionately high. So hopefully that will continue to bring inflation down, at least the government metrics of which. True inflation, of course, we know has come back down quite a bit more. All right, building permits prequel, that is down. So there are less folks trying to build buildings, and that just, I guess, across the board in real estate, things are not looking as rosy as they did at the beginning of the year. So let's go ahead and switch over. And guys, I do want to thank you guys so much for watching. Just right off the bat, you're tuned into Investing Bros. Again, if you're just tuning in, Tim is down in Miami. He's doing some all hands on deck stuff down there with the Hit Network. So if you're down there, give him a hug and shake his hand and thank him for producing everything that's going on down there. And thank you guys so much for sticking around. We're going to have a lot of fun on today's show. There's a ton of news, and so there's some big news, especially out of XRP. We're going to get to that in just a second. But we have covered the macro analysis. So let's go ahead and get into our crypto charts, of which I'm not going to spend a ton of time. But there obviously is some very important stuff to cover. So the first of all is XRP. What you're not seeing is a giant spike to go test this. This is the weekly chart to go test the $1.09 region, right? There's a reason for that, and we're going to get to that in a second. But this is the weekly chart. If you zoom down to the 4 hour, let's say, you do get a little bit of a different picture, because we did have a nice little spike yesterday, and I'm going to get into why exactly that is in just a second. But the hint is it has to do with the SEC Ripple case. You may not have ever guessed that, would you? Well, we're going to get to the details of that in just a second. You can see here it's on the 4 hour chart. XRP was trading pretty close to the discount line, definitely below the equilibrium. It's now sliced through the equilibrium and is trying to figure out where it wants to remain in price. Currently trading at 44 cents per coin. There is XRP. So we shall see what the future holds. But overall, the takeaway here on XRP is that it was bought. So overall, the news was favorable, and obviously it was yesterday that came out. But it wasn't necessarily explosive. This move was about an 8% move all the way to the upside. You could call it 9 if you really wanted to be greedy. But ultimately, that's not that much in crypto, especially when there's major news. So ultimately, muted response from the market on the XRP news, but it was bullish. So let's go ahead and take a look. We are probably not going to get to the market open just in general in this show. Just because of the nature of the T-Shroom takeover. It's my choice, my show, my choice. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look here just at kind of the market open for crypto. Overall, you can see on my screen it's pretty red decisively, and I say that because Bitcoin futures, and Ethereum are all red, including BNB, Uniswap, ADA, all red. Bitcoin down 1.2% and Ethereum down 1.5%. So going into the Miami event, prices are selling off. However, you do have some green on the screen with Optimism and Matic getting bought here. Moving to the upside are the layer 2 twins there. And also we have XRP. Obviously, we just covered that, up 1%. Litecoin continuing to do its work, up 2.5%. You got to give it to Litecoin, man. Things have been moving in the right direction over there. Army is guest in green room. Okay, so it looks like Army Piper is somehow found his way into the show, which is good, but I don't see a screen from him. Guest in green room. So I don't know what I can do. Okay, I think we'll just have to keep moving on here. Guest in green room. All right. Yeah, I don't. Oh, now I see him. Let me take a moment here, guys, to see if I can't get Army Piper in. Give me just a second. Give me just a second here. All right. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this happen, man. Yeah, I don't know. It's not really. It doesn't look anything like what it normally looks like to be able to bring people into the show. So I'm not sure what to do with that. Yeah. So we'll just keep trucking. We'll keep trucking. I can kind of see it, but I don't. It's like, let me just see what happens if I just go to if I just go to you. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work, man. So maybe send me some tips in the Discord, and I'll stand by and see if I can figure it out from there, man. But anyway, all right. So moving back into the markets, we've done a little bit of crypto TA, guys. We're going to spend most of the time in the news, but let's go ahead and look at a few more charts before we get too far. Let's see, what else do we want to look at? Guys, let me know in the chat what charts you want me to take a look at. Don't get too stressed, said JoJo. I appreciate that, JoJo. Crypto Trades said eyes, eyes, eyes. GS said smash the likes, and I couldn't agree more. Crypto Trade said green. T-Shroom is colorblind, guys. So that's interesting. Let's see if Piper has sent me anything in the Discord. I don't see anything in the Discord yet, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to bring him in. But I can see his input. I just can't do anything with it. It says guest in the green room, but I don't know what a green room is or how to access it. So maybe some of these buttons. Remove from green room? Oh, okay. Now it looks a little, this is looking a little more promising here. Oh, you're seeing behind me the Discord, because we are all kinds of discombobulated here this morning, but behind me you can see there is a Discord, and I think you can hear Piper now. Hey, Piper, how are you?
Hey, what's up, man?
Not much. Let me see if I can add you here. Double click to add. Yeah, this is a little bit of a chaotic thing here, but it's
No, just go to my screen, my camera.
yeah, it's not. Oh, yeah, I guess I could do that. It doesn't want to let me do anything here.
Hey, it's okay, brother. We tried.
Yeah, it's a lost cause.
On with the show.
Yeah, but at least you guys got to hear Piper there. All right, so let's keep going here, guys, because I do have a lot planned that I wanted to show you. We'll go ahead and skip community and skip market open, and we'll just get right into the headlines here. So let's do that. All right. So we heard about the XRP prices. Let's look at why it moved. So XRP jumps 8% on latest Ripple court battle victory. So Judge Torres has denied the SEC motion to seal entirety of Hinman documents in its case against Ripple. That is really the main takeaway here, guys. But let's get into some of the details. And on May 16th, the judge presiding over the Ripple v. SEC case denied a motion filed by the securities regulator. Judge Torres denied the motion to seal the entirety of the documents regarding a June 2018 speech from the former SEC director, William Hinman. So it's important to hear what the former director would have to say, right? Well, the SEC doesn't think so, and so they wanted his quotation to be left out of the court case. But this is a quote from Judge Torres. She said, regardless of whether the court ultimately determines the Hinman speech documents are admissible or whether the court relies on the documents in ruling on the summary judgment motions, they are judicial documents subject to a strong presumption of public access because they are relevant to the performance of the judicial function and useful in the judicial process. So she's just telling the SEC no. Kind of like how the SEC told the Coinbase no. So she's just kind of giving them the smackdown and presiding in the way that she understands justice to be presided on. So let's continue with a few more details. On May 17th, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse labeled it as another win for transparency. William Hinman famously said in June 2018 that according to his understanding, current officers and sales of Ether are not securities transactions. Ripple has been using the argument in their fight against the SEC, which has accused the firm of selling unregistered securities. The SEC has been trying its hardest to hide these crucial related documents and speeches from the public during the case. Garlinghouse expects a verdict to be reached by this summer. So obviously this is a huge case, guys. But again, we did not see the price of XRP move more than 8%. 8% is nice, and it is a move in the right direction, right? It's nice for traders, not that great for investors, because if you'll notice, there's been a giant decrease in the price of XRP from its highs. I'm not even going to go to that wick higher, right? But you can see 21% reprice from April. That's just April. Because I'm on the 4-hour, excuse me. If I go out to the weekly chart, you can see a lot more of a movement to the downside. And if I go to auto, nothing happens. awesome. But it's a precipitous decline. So 85% downside. So pretty much in line with the majority of the ways that crypto has moved overall. So that's not where it ends, though, guys, because yesterday the tweet that kind of set it off was from James K. Fillion, who is he's a legal. I don't know if he's the official legal counsel there for Ripple, but he's a he's a knowledgeable legal operator who said, breaking, Judge Torres denies the SEC motion to seal the Hinman documents. And there was just all kinds of funny memes and stuff that we can take a second to look at. But the court disagrees is one thing that was underlined there by Hodl, the account, Mo Hodls. And then here's a pretty funny meme that says it's got Gary Gensler there, and then somebody from Star Wars saying, "You're here to protect the investors, right, Gary?" And then Gary looks on. Well, you can see it. And if you can't, it's funny. It's a funny meme. But moving on, guys, or ultimately, just kind of in summary here, as an investor in XRP, which I only bought XRP for the very first time last week, and I'm glad I did when I did, right? Why didn't I buy XRP running up until last week? Well, because it was kind of hard to buy, right? I figured out that I could just buy it on MetaMask on Binance Smart Chain, so that's what I did, right? And so, that it's just a matter of I didn't really feel too bullish on it until last week when it kind of occurred to me, if Ripple wins this case, and all indications are kind of showing that it could and might, I don't want to be left behind. I have some issues, with Ripple in general, but I think that they're a good project, and I don't want to be left out. So, that's kind of my sentiment on it. Well, moving forward, we're definitely cheering for Ripple to win, but hopefully, as Brad Garlinghouse said there, we will get a verdict on that case later this summer. All right, well, moving on, we've got more news. Definitely doesn't stop here. But before I get too much further, go ahead and do me a favor, guys. Go ahead and like this video and also subscribe. If you guys are not subscribed, we are the Investing Bros. I am alone today, but usually I'm accompanied by two highly sophisticated technical analyst experts. They don't like to call themselves experts, but I consider them to be, and most of our audience does as well. They help us identify all of the different levels in crypto, all of the different entry points, all of the different exit points that you would want, and help us, navigate the markets. And that's what we do here at the Investing Bros. And I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and like the video, and let us know down in the comments how we could improve, and what we do well that you'd like to see more of. So let's get into the Celsius document here, though. Celsius adds over 428,000 staked ETH to Lido's lengthening withdrawal queue. So, for those of you who don't know, getting into the details here, Lido enabled withdrawals this week. So very important note there, very important detail. But Celsius initiated the process of withdrawing its Lido staked ETH from the protocol. According to transaction data, it has requested the withdrawal of 428,000 staked ETH in batches of 1,000. So that's a lot of ETH, guys. And for those of you who've been in crypto for a while, you may be scratching your heads, well, what are the implications of this? Well, this article gets into some of those in just a second. The stash is valued at approximately $784 million at current prices. So that's a lot. It's a lot of volume for staked ETH. So what are some of the implications here for this? Well, if unstaked, requests exceed 10%, it could cause a large number of validators exits, right? This would potentially lead to longer queues for withdrawals. So will it have an effect on price? No, because they're just unstaking. If they were to sell all that ETH, that would have an effect on price. And that is something, that we would be tracking pretty closely, because Celsius ultimately, does want to return those funds to the original owners of it, you and me, right? Or folks who were in Celsius, the retail block. So we'll see how that goes. But there are more immediate implications on validators, right? And because they are the ones behind Ethereum security, right? They're the ones saying, Yes, this transaction is valid. It may proceed. Yes, this transaction is valid. It may proceed. Right. And if there's less of them, then it's just like going to the DMV. It's going to take longer because there's less clerks sitting there doing the work. So that's ultimately what could happen here. All of that money represents, all of this money that Celsius has staked essentially represents clerks at a DMV, right? It's just people sitting there doing the job. And when they unstake and they extract all those clerks, it's going to slow things down. That just kind of makes sense. So we'll see how that goes. It may not be as bad as they think because there is that 1,000 limit that it looks like they're putting on themselves or is being put on them by Lido. I'm not exactly sure. But batches of 1,000 is, I think, a good way to go because that will, over time, kind of taper off the dependence of Celsius's staked ETH. All right, moving on into the next section here. Looks like Elliot Locke has given a super chat, so let's check in on exactly what is on Elliot Locke's mind. Elliot Locke said, T-Shroom takeover, baby. You're rocking it, brother. You can also buy XRP with the Uphold app. Anything new on ADA? Keep up the good work, brother. Just going to take a little sip of that Colombian gold. No, it's coffee. So, yes. Uphold. Yeah, I just never set up an Uphold. So, I didn't want to get an entire app just to buy XRP. I was aware of it. It's just never, just like so many things in the consumer market, it never pushed me. I guess not consumer market, the investment market. There wasn't enough of an impetus. There wasn't enough for me to go ahead and pull that trigger. But it looks like Archie's in the chat as well, and Crux of Crypto. Not exactly sure. Crypto Archie said, feels strange watching Investing Bros on a plane. What the heck? How are you watching it on a plane? You must be paying for that premium Wi-Fi, baby. Or maybe flying with a premium provider who gives you free Wi-Fi. Either way, that's pretty good. Army Piper said, you are rocking it, Shroom. So absolutely, I appreciate it, team. It is good. It is good. I'm having fun. I'm not able to consume as much coffee this morning, so I might be a little lower energy because I'm talking, right? I'm doing a lot of talking. Usually there's breaks where I throw it to Tim or I throw it to Piper, and then I just guzzle down coffee. Well, that's not the case this morning, but that's okay. Any updates on ADA? I didn't see anything in the news today on ADA. Keep up the good work, brother. I appreciate it. Appreciate the encouragement there. That's what it's all about. Love that, Elliot Locke. Thank you so much. Tyler Manning said, Colombian gold, you sipping on some? Yeah, I'm not going to read that. But no, it's all good fun and legal. I actually have Army drill this weekend, so they could potentially drug test. And so I'm definitely not taking any drugs that'll pop me hot and get me kicked out of the Army. That's for sure. But coffee is definitely not going to do that. There is a lot of coffee consumed by soldiers of our United States military on a daily basis, and that is not going to change. All right, moving on into this headline here. Crypto community reacts to Ledger's wallet's secret recovery phrase service. So this is it's kind of a nothing burger in my opinion, but there were some folks kind of freaking out about it. So let's get into it a little bit here. I won't spend too much time. The wallet provider shared that Ledger Recover is an optional subscription. That's their product, Ledger Recover here in question. It's an optional subscription for users who want to back up their secret recovery phrase. You don't have to use it, and you can continue managing your recovery phrase yourself if that's why you bought a Ledger, the company explained in the release of their new product. Madit Gupta, the CIO, this Chief Information Security Officer, so actually CSO. Why did I even try to do that? Anyway, the Chief Information Security Officer at Polygon Lab shared, it's a horrendous idea. Don't enable this feature, Gupta explained further in his tweet thread that the problem here is that the encrypted keys parts are sent to 3 corporations and they can construct your keys. So here, essentially what's being said here is astute and is correct. If you sent these keys out to 3 parties who didn't know who each other were, that would be fine, right? Is what is his argument. But I guess he's saying if you sent it to corporations, they would have the resources and the motivation and the motive to go ahead and try to figure out who each other are and then reconstruct your keys. So, I suppose that is accurate. Madit Gupta, I can only assume, he's a C-suite over at Polygon Labs. I assume he knows what he's talking about. And he was the main opposition here, I believe, yesterday. He's kind of the main reason why uh, Ledger was getting so much heat because of his tweet. But maybe they deserved it. I'm not really one to say because I don't really. This not kind of my lane. The security aspect of it. We have a bro, Jeffrey. Actually, CryptoSec guy. So just he's kind of our member who knows a lot about more of the security stuff. So if you guys ever have any questions within the bro universe, you can definitely come to me or come to CryptoSec guy in the Discord, of which there is a free link down in the Discord. So let's keep moving though here, guys. Ultimately, if you have a ledger, nothing's happening. Don't feel fearful that something's going to happen to your ledger and your crypto on the ledger. There's nothing about that at all. This is just Ledger releasing a new product that is controversial, right? Some people don't like it. And also I was listening to ATB yesterday and somebody made a good point. I don't remember who, but somebody made a good point that this is not good for new people coming into crypto because ultimately you should be learning how to protect your keys yourself. You shouldn't be reliant on other parties to protect your key. I think that's a good point. I think as we move through the future, crypto is too hard for the average person because the average person, unfortunately, is very dumb. And so I don't know right now. I think the status of crypto is really for people who are smart. And there's a lot of apps out there that are trying to change that, right? They're trying to make it to where crypto can be used by the masses. But obviously, currently, right now, it's not easy enough for just the average person to go out and use it. And when I say people are dumb, I do mean that they're dumb in the way that would be offensive, but I also mean that they're just focused on other things in life, right? So they're not necessarily going to sit there and put a bunch of time into learning crypto when they can just swipe a credit card, right? Obviously, that reality is reflected in the adoption rates of crypto. So moving on into our next story here. It was breaking news here from Watcher.guru. Tether to allocate up to 15% of its profits towards purchasing Bitcoin. So that's just bullish, right? That's not really too many implications there. That's just bullish. Apparently, they make a ton of money. They released some earnings recently, and they make what was like $100 billion a quarter or something like that. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong about that. But yeah. So keeping moving here, we've got a AI story. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman calls for AI to be regulated during the Senate hearing. So he went before the Senate, and he said some things, and some of those things have made it into our show here today. So let's get into the details of that. Altman, whose company created ChatGPT, said that the U.S. government should regulate AI models by establishing a licensing body, a set of safety standards, and requirements for independent audits. AI, and he said AI in influencing elections is his main concern, calling this because great concern. So AI in influencing elections is his main fear, and I guess primary reason why it should be regulated. Well, I have a lot of thoughts on this, guys. I mean, you could do an entire documentary on that one claim there, that government should regulate AI and how they should regulate AI by instituting a licensing body and a set of safety protocols and requirements for independent audits. Look, the government regulates, right? Eventually, we come up with a set of standards of how the railroad should work. And then for the next 100 years, the United States has a good railroad system. And do trains derail every once in a while? Yeah. Are there disasters? Yeah. But is that the exception to the overall majority of successful train voyages? Yes. So, AI is probably going to be regulated. Should it be regulated now? And should it be quickly regulated? Should it be hastily regulated? No, obviously not. I don't think that should be the case. But I don't think that in 50 years AI is going to be completely unfettered. I think that there's going to be some institution that is regulating it. Is it going to be the government? Maybe not. Maybe the government isn't going to be the one that's able to regulate it. Maybe it's a company like Google that can throttle the internet, or a company like Amazon that can throttle their servers and make it to where you can't use AI. Now, neither of those companies can control the entire internet, obviously, right? Which is kind of the point here, because if they can't, then the government probably is going to have limited capabilities to do that as well. So I think Altman is probably aiming for the right thing here, but I think what Altman is absolutely getting, right, for free is exposure for ChatGPT. and for his own personal brand. So that is something to consider here. I think going before the Senate is hard, and it's not something people wish upon themselves, but I think that he does have a benefit here, a disproportionate one. And then there's also the case here of, guys, look, he's one of the first movers in the retail AI industry, right? And what is the thing that you want to do if you're doing well in an industry is you want to create moats around that industry so that other entrants are discouraged from trying to compete with you. And one of those moats is to institute legislation and make people have to get licenses in order to enter the industry. Well, we kind of see how this is playing out potentially. I'm not saying that that is definitely Sam Altman's motivation here with going to the Senate and lobbying for regulation, but you know, it's a consequence that could happen, that could favor your boy Sam Altman. All right, well, it's not just Microsoft's ChatGPT that's in the headlines. There's also another big mega cap tech giant, and it looks like we are going to get to the market open here, guys. But we've got a couple more stories, and then the special bonus surprise at the end here. So, and then we'll probably be able to do a quick market open at the end here. Apple VR AR headsets could likely launch in early June and spur metaverse. So this was a recent post. So let's get into some of the details, exciting details here, I might say, for crypto, because there are so many cryptos that need the metaverse. All right, reports suggest that new Apple virtual augmented reality headsets could fast track the emergence of the metaverse. In January, native tokens tied to metaverse projects such as Sandbox and Decentraland, very big high flyers in the last bull market, they soared in January amid rumors of Apple's VR AR headset. Now, many analysts, including eToro's Josh Gilbert, you know Josh, you love him. We talk about him all the time. Just kidding. But he opined that the new headset's actual launch could be a boon. Boon being a good thing. I always get those confused, boon and boom. Anyway, so obviously this is bullish, guys. This is going to be very bullish, not just for the metaverse tokens, but it's going to be bullish for Apple itself. And if I could ever get a handle here on the mouse to be able to zoom in and out. What the heck? There we go. Let's go ahead and take a look here at some alpha. So what did we just learn? We just learned that Apple is going to be releasing a metaverse project, right? A mask that you can put your face in and you can experience the metaverse. That's going to happen in June. What have we just seen over at Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook? Well, we've seen a giant move to the upside from the discount range on the weekly all the way up here to 165 move to the upside, right? From $90, so double digits, to $238. It did wick into $250, didn't it? No, it didn't. So, pardon. But where is it right now? It's at the top end of the trading band here, right? From Chart Prime, with which we have discount codes in the description to get the best indicator on the market, Chart Prime. So Army Piper says this, and he says it often, and he says it well. He says it stern, and he says it strong, which is that most of the time an asset will trade. By most, I mean 70% of the time, an asset will trade here in between these golden bands. Now, he's hearing me saying that, and his heart is being warmed with pride, knowing that he is passing on valuable wisdom to the next generation. And you can take a look here also, is that it's in the equilibrium zone, right? And by it, I mean the price action here of Meta. So what are we to conclude here? Because we are starting to see a confluence of fundamental analysis and technical analysis. Well, considering the fact also that there is a chart prime oscillator down here that is showing potentially overbought, and I say that because you're starting to see this green wave peak up above that red line and start to curve back down. So here, guys, what is the ultimate takeaway here, T-Shroom? You're kind of beating around the bush. Well, I think that there's a good chance to short this name, right? And this is Meta, formerly known as Facebook, to the tune of 33% if it were to go all the way back down to the lower gold band, but 15% if it were to make a move just back down to this. I believe it's the Delta line, but we'll for our elementary minds, we'll call it the blue line. It would be nice if Piper was on, if the technology worked. To be able to tell me. I think it's the Delta line. Anyway, so an opportunity to short here, guys. Meta. So we shall see, because more than likely the liquidity that pushed this drive up 165%, I think it was, is probably going to rotate into Apple as the metaverse headlines pick up in the run up to June 1st. So we shall see. I'm mostly going to not participate in this market because of my Army stuff coming up in June, of which, guys, I've got some sad news. In March, in June 1st to the 18th, I will be gone. I will be getting my butt handed to me by high-ranking Army officers as they try to beat it into me that I'm going to be a future Army officer. So we shall see. It's going to be hard, rigorous training out in the South Carolina heat, and it's going to be pretty crazy. But let's get into some other news. I'm going to go through these next couple ones pretty quick so we can get into our market open. But UBS expects $17 billion hit from Credit Suisse rescues and flags hasty due diligence. So the fund not over there at UBS, which is a Swiss bank, but has headquarters in almost every country, or representation. You can get a UBS account in the United States. All right, moving along here. Some more Justin tethered to allocate. I already read that one. We would be remiss if we didn't have Elon Musk in the headlines. Elon unveils Twitter's plan for a better financial system. What does it mean for Doge? Well, a cut to the chase doesn't mean much for Doge, but there are a lot of other important details in an effort to improve the misgivings of the existing traditional finance platforms. I already like this article. Tesla and Twitter CEO Elon Musk is planning to introduce a more efficient financial system by converting Twitter into an everything app that includes messaging, payments, and commerce called X. Yes, this is his long-term plan, and you can't buy Twitter anymore to be able to take advantage of it as an investor. Wah, wah. Musk spoke to CNBC's David Faber about the plan to turn Twitter into an efficient financial system, among other things, arguing that his goal was not to disrupt the banking system. No. For the sake of disrupting it. No. He just wants to help out. If we're going to make a product that improves the quality of life of people that they find more useful, then that's great. What people see in PayPal is sort of like a halfway version of what it could be. So I think there's a potential to create a more efficient financial system. Hey, look, am I cheering for Elon Musk? You absolutely can bet your bottom dollar that I am. He's a good guy. I like him, and we'll see what happens with this. But again, it's kind of sad because you can't buy Twitter anymore to be able to experience the upside. Maybe they'll take it public again once they've got it all sorted out. And the new Twitter CEO is fully integrated and assimilated into the cultural norm, and she's seen as okay. So we'll see. We'll see how all that goes. Well, I've got a couple more things here. I figured instead of trying to find a specific article, I would just refresh the Google search debt ceiling and just kind of read you guys the article headline. So starting with Reuters, 12 hours ago, Biden-McCarthy hopeful on debt ceiling deal. U.S. president cuts Asia trip. So he's putting America first instead of Asia. I appreciate that, Biden. And then over here from the Atlantic, Biden has already caved on the debt ceiling. That was 22 hours ago. And then 1 hour ago from Yahoo Finance, U.S. futures rise as debt ceiling talks stay in focus. Stock market news today. And then let's see, Investor Business Daily, Dow Jones losses worsen as McCarthy jabs Biden over debt ceiling. So according to this smattering, one more here, USA Today, last-minute deal on debt ceiling could spark recession, even if U.S. avoids probably bankruptcy, right? So this is just a little smattering here of headlines that ultimately conclude that they haven't reached a deal, definitely have not reached a deal, but that potentially they are closer to a deal than they were yesterday. And our fearless leader, President Biden, is not going to Asia, or he's going to cut it short at least so that he can put America first and get this budget passed. All right. Well, not budget, debt ceiling. So let's go ahead and get into our surprise here at the end before we get into the market open, because that's just the order we're going to go. Here's the surprise, guys. Is because of Joe Biden here and because of McCarthy, Speaker McCarthy, we have a predicament, right? You've been seeing thumbnails, you've been seeing tweets. Oh, the debt ceiling. Oh, this could be the biggest catastrophe ever. Janet Yellen coming out and saying that things are going to be so bad. And they would be. They would be very bad. They would go to Mad Max mode very, very quickly, right? And in Mad Max mode, what is the number one asset that you want to own? That would be ammunition. So my surprise for you guys today is I've pulled up some ammo prices that we're going to take a look at here, but my big head is kind of in the way, so I don't know if I can really change that. So here we've got a chart price pulled up of 9mm, right? So back here at the peak of the pandemic that we all remember here, one or 9mm was valued at 0.7 cents, right? So we're kind of looking at it here as a crypto, because these are kind of crypto prices, right? But this is the price per round, 7 cents, right? And then you have today's prices, which is 16 cents, right? So it was from 70 cents. Sorry, I probably said 7 cents. 70 cents all the way down to 16 cents, which I believe is a 80% decrease. So about an 85% decrease. So what does that mean? That means now is a good time to diversify into ammunition because prices are low, right? I was forced to buy it up here because I just wanted to go to the shooting range and practice shooting, right? But nowadays, those prices have corrected. Why? Because the supply chain's not all screwed up anymore, and you can go and buy it at your leisure at your local Rural King, at your local Bass Pro. Walmart used to sell ammo. Now they don't, but I'm just sounding like a boomer. Let's also take a look here at Remington 223. It's pretty much the same thing. Price per round was 96 cents, and now it is 30 cents. So a very similar price movement there. Ultimately, if you don't believe in the thesis here that you should own ammo in a post-debt ceiling failure, you're wrong, right? And you're so wrong because the price is actually very favorable for you to diversify into ammunition. Now, some of you might be sitting there thinking, T-Shroom, this is silly, this is crazy. Why are you telling us about prices like this? Well, the show is called Investing Bros. And I genuinely believe, along with other very, very wise investors, that you should diversify into ammunition. We don't talk about it much on the show, right? Because it is a little bit unconventional. But if you are not diversified into ammunition, you should be, right? You don't even have to own a gun, right? You do have to live in the United States, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you should own ammunition outside of the United States. I guess I should be clear. Make sure that you're following the rules of your country. But owning ammunition is very, very favorable, especially when you have things in the headlines like the debt ceiling could not go through. So I was going to show you guys where you can buy ammunition, but I think that might be pushing it a little far here for our audience. Thank you guys for hanging with me. That was our surprise there. Let's get into our market open and just kind of see how markets are reacting to some of the headlines here. Oh, T-Shroom, you're not on the screen yet. Make sure you're on the screen. I was going to get there. Let's take a look here. We'll start with energy as we always do. Natural gas contracts are coming in lower, down about 2%. Oil making a move higher here, $71 per barrel and change, up 1.6 on the day. Now let's take a look at the indexes here. Dow Jones, NASDAQ, and S&P all coming in green today, saying, hey, we're liking what we're seeing out of these headlines from Joe Biden and Speaker McCarthy. We're going to go ahead and buy the market. So the NASDAQ is lagging. So folks are buying security more than they're buying risk in the NASDAQ. But overall, seeing some pretty healthy growth here in the first 13 minutes of the New York Stock Exchange open. Crypto, pretty much unchanged since we watched and took a look at it in the morning. Not really seeing too much movement in any of these names just yet, although XRP has pulled back. It was up more than 1%. Now it's down a little bit here. Pepe, who cares? I might even go ahead and take that off my watch list. Sorry, Pepe holders, hodlers. If you're a Pepe hodler, I don't know that I feel bad for you, to be honest. That is a day, probably hour trade. You should be in, find your entry, and then get out of a name like that. Dogecoin, a little bit of a different story, but still a meme coin. Taking a look here at precious metals, you've got silver, you've got gold. Are you buying either of them? Probably not. But you are seeing prices move today. Mixed, gold down 0.4% and silver up the exact same amount, up 0.4%. So very interesting move there. And silver is up 1.4%. Your mega cap tech stocks are making a big move. Apple not getting bought on that news that their metaverse is coming out in June, because they are down 0.4% here. But my guess is that is probably a temporary sell-off. Your name that is moving the most is Tesla here, as they had their earnings call yesterday, I believe. That doesn't sound right. I don't know. Elon was on he was in the news, so buy Tesla, I guess is kind of the translation here. Amazon also doing very well. I told you guys that Amazon might not be a bad buy about a week ago. And if you had taken that advice, non-financial advice, by the way, I will point out you'd probably be up a decent amount. Yeah, you'd be up about 15%. I went ahead and I liquidated my Apple around here, my Amazon right around here, around $111. Why? Because I wanted to have more dry powder to buy Bitcoin here at when it gets down to 25,000. Now you might be saying, T-Shroom, it's getting down to 25,000 Bitcoin? Really? Yeah, I think so. I think we're probably going to see 25,000, and I want to have as much dry powder as I possibly can. I'm going to be putting in some limit orders because I won't have my phone much this weekend, but I'm thinking probably Bitcoin is going to come down and touch 25 this weekend. I mean, we had a wick down into 25.8. I don't know if it's going to get down to actual 25 even. You know, that's not where I'm going to put my limit order, although there is some good support here from these wicks. This is a weekly chart down here at 25.2. Just some very crude wick TA there. Wick exclusive, so not enough confluence to say that is the best entry point. It absolutely is not. But let me know in the chat, what do you think is your best entry point here in the 25s for Bitcoin? Let me know down there in the chat exactly where you're putting your limit orders to try to get lucky on a Bitcoin entry. Let me know down there in the chat because I want to know. I want to know where you're going to put those orders in. All right, well, guys, we've had a very smooth second half of this show. Thank you guys for hanging out and hanging with me and supporting the T-Shroom takeover. We are now in our outro where I will say, guys, we've got a newsletter. If you haven't read it, you're going to want to. The T-Shroom take is a lot of fun. I believe the T-Shroom take this time was really, really good. People have really liked it, so definitely go ahead and you can get that T-Shroom take in our newsletter, which is in the paid membership channels of our Discord. Our Discord has a link in the description. Go ahead and check that out. Guys, thank you much. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today on the T-Shroom takeover. It has really been an honor. I definitely don't want to do this again. I like having my team together, but it's not that I don't want to do this again, but it is so much better to do this, so much more fun to do it with the well-oiled machine that is Tim and Piper that have come together to make the Investing Bros. I think it's a much better production, but I feel like this wasn't too bad. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for watching and tuning in. I'll check you guys tomorrow in the next video.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.